I'm Matt Shook, BB, Arkansas. I'm 24 years old. Graduated high school at BB. Went to ASU BB for a couple years and grew up on a farm. They're just out, probably 7 miles out of BB. We've got a Bermuda grass hay farm, and also now we're into environmental construction. Still play a big role on the farm and run the construction as well. And been deer hunting a long time. I think I killed my first deer when I was 9 years old. I've been addicted to it since the first time I went. I don't know, I'm just obsessed with it, I guess. I got my first compound bow when I was 13, and from the day I got my first bow, I mean, until now, that's all I think about. Anything I do, somewhere throughout the day, deer hunting is involved or comes into play.
He snuck in on us, didn't he?
My dad started carrying me to the dove field when I was about 4 or 5 probably. We started duck hunting, and we duck hunt and we deer hunt and dove hunt and we quail hunted a bunch. From the time I was 6 years old to the time I was 14, I followed bird dogs all over, from central Arkansas to South Texas. I followed bird dogs everywhere, and that was my dad's big deal. He liked to bird hunt, and he deer hunts too, but birds were his thing.
Here down the bottom. Small buck. He's about to run her down. Got to be something bigger.
There's gonna be something come up that trail.
You gotta be. She's coming back. She's coming back. Oh, look here, look here, look here. Another buck. Oh. That's a shooter. He ain't gonna stand for none of that, is he? There we go.
All she's got to do is come by us.
She hit that pile and tried to bed down.
Yeah.
Throw her out of there.
I wish she would have stayed right there for a second.
Oh, look here, look here, look here.
Right there he is. In the brush. He's went that way. There, right there. See him?
Yeah.
Here he comes.
What now?
There's another buck. It looked like it was a 10. He was kind of tight, tall time. There, look, here you go, here you go. There, here, ready. Here you go.
That's a good deer. He almost
Is he a shooter? He's facing us straight that way.
Yeah. Let's see if he does now. There could be a big something.
There's another buck. There's a little buck. I do think there's a tighter bond of friends that hunt together and fish together. Outdoorsmen in general, yeah. I think anybody in the outdoors needs to have partners or friends that do it with them. Not necessarily have to do it together all the time, but just have to kind of be outdoorsmen together. And what I mean is, you know, I could call somebody and say, hey, I got a picture of a 150. And they'd say, you know, okay, so what? I could call one of my buddies or my wife and say, hey, I got a picture of a 150. And I'm going to have to hang on for a second while they calm down, you know, because they get just as excited about it as I do. I don't know how many texts I've sent this morning, you know, how'd y'all do? Did y'all kill a bunch of ducks? You know, yesterday was opening morning of duck season in Arkansas. And, you know, of course we text back, you know, everybody's excited for everybody. We were fortunate we had some good luck. We killed a deer. Of course they were as equally as excited for me as I was for them. You know, they had a big limit of ducks killed, and one person gets that text or sends that text that says they got something. You know, they got a deer or killed a bunch of ducks. You know, everybody's excited. It's always like that, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
I think he's got the ladies on the mind a little more than a fight, don't you? Just need one more year. Another year, he'll be a hammer, won't he?
The thing that gets me going and really makes me just love deer in general. I mean, it's not just hunting them. I like looking at them. I like watching them. I like getting pictures of them. I like feeding them. I love deer. And what I like about deer so much is every deer is unique. There's not anything about any deer that is like the next. I mean, sure, genetics go down and generation to generation, deer, you know, will resemble another deer, but they're not the same. None of them. I mean, deer are like people as far as their personalities go.
Welcome back to Blood Brothers TV.
I mean, sure, genetics go down and generation to generation, deer, you know, will resemble another deer, but they're not the same. None of them. I mean, deer are like people as far as their personalities go. I've seen big deer, 160-inch, 4.5, 5.5-year-old deer that would walk into an open field like a cow and never even check the wind. And that don't happen very often, don't get me wrong, but I've seen that, and I've seen year and a halfers that were so nervous and so spooky that they wouldn't think about going into, you know, coming into your food plot. They're all just different, you know, and they change day to day.
Now, if we can get a big boy to do that, there was a tree out in the middle of the field that he watched a big deer walk by 2 days in a row. A little bit too small. Maybe not. It's cold. Cold. Have you ever seen a deer follow a drag rag? That's what it looks like. Maybe not, really. No, I said if you've never seen a deer follow a drag rag, that's exactly what it looks like. Oh, yeah. Deer's 2.5 years old. 10 point. Starting to split G2 on his right side.
person could kill 50 Pope and Young whitetails, and I promise you, there's not one that's going to have the same characteristics as the next. They're all different, and that's what I love about them. From the spring when I'm on the tractor, I'm driving in a food plot disking, getting ready to plant some soybeans. I'm looking at the trees. I'm looking up, looking everywhere, just thinking this food plot's going to produce something. I could be farming, planting the exact same variety of soybean, and it's just not near as fun because I'm not thinking about deer hunting. And the same thing, in the summertime, that first run of cameras, put some cameras out 1st of July, and you just have to make yourself wait just a few days for those deer to get a few pictures before you go check them. And that first run of cameras, when you pull that first card, you're just thinking, almost as excited as opening day, just because you're so curious of what you might see from last year, or what's new, or if you're going to see the big deer that got away last year. That's what's so exciting about it. I love it.
Shoot a little high. Shot over. Yeah. Well, at least we got 3-4 more days. Yeah. We're gonna have to leave this deal. Let's go get in the woods somewhere. Let's go get in the woods somewhere.
I love preparation. I love feeding deer. Like I said, and when it's 110 degrees in August and I'm trimming shooting lanes or hanging stands or whatever, there's just nothing about it I don't like. The reward, I guess, is so great that even on those 110 degree days when you're 30 feet in a tree just about to die of a heat stroke trying to swing a chainsaw and trim some shooting lanes, and when you finally sit down in that stand that you just hung, you're thinking, all right, it's going to happen right here. This is a good spot. This looks good. I can see myself killing a booner here. I've never hung a stand in my entire life. I've never hung a stand that I didn't just think it could happen right here. This is it. Looks good.
Blood Brothers TV will be right back. Welcome back to Blood Brothers TV.
What? 103 or something like that. We've got them with us. We might as well rattle. Windy. I wonder how far they can hear that in. I don't know. I bet they can't hear it. 200, 3, maybe 3. I rattled like a little girl anyway. I didn't feel real good about that one. Didn't put no heart in it. As long as we're carrying, we're going to use them. 105, 106. They're all running together.
People that don't hunt don't do it for one of two reasons. They don't hunt because they've never been introduced to it and they don't know anything about it and they just hadn't developed an interest for it, or they don't hunt because they think there's something wrong with it. And that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard, and I don't even want to go on that subject. But the people that don't hunt because they hadn't been introduced to it, they need to be introduced to it, and they need to take an interest in it. You know, and that's hard for me to talk about because I've never not hunted. But I would think that a person that starts hunting, they're going to say, man, why hadn't I been doing this? You know, this is fun.
Yeah, I don't know why we couldn't talk a big boy into doing that. He read the script and played it just right, didn't he?
If they don't like it after they do it, that's okay too. That's just not their thing, maybe. Don't like the outdoors. They don't like ticks in the spring. They don't like mosquitoes in the heat of the first of the bow season.
Checking my balls. About swallowing your chew.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like going on a good spring turkey hunt and coming back and stripping down and you have to pull ticks off of you all morning. I mean, that's just part of it. And I can't imagine somebody trying it and not liking it. Right.
Done. Smoked. That's my donut. How you like it now? It was rattle number 107. 107 got it done. Yeah, I did. Right there, baby. Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. Did you see that blood blowing out of him when he was...
There's absolutely nothing better than the rut as far as the horn rattling and the calling. It's just exciting. I mean, you get into the hunt more than just going and setting an early season food plot. You interact with them and anything from ducks to deer to turkeys, whatever. If you can call to a wild animal and have them respond, there's something about that just can't be described.